Welcome back into the Dynasty Nerds YouTube page. I am Garrett Price, and today it's time for some mail. Today we are going to go over questions that we got from the Dynasty Nerds Discord. If you are a Nerd Herd member but not part of the Discord yet, you need to hop in. We're doing all kinds of things all the time, different AMAs, different little things in there, startup rookie mocks, different things like that. This is your opportunity to connect with us in a different way than you get to any other time. So on the Discord, I posted, if you have a question for our mailbag episode on YouTube, submit it now. Well, within 15 minutes, we had 50 plus questions. It's wild. I picked out some of my favorites that I thought would be the best to discuss on this show. Lots of different topics, but all Dynasty related. First one here comes from Up North 97. Hey, Garrett, longtime listener of the show. A question I always struggle with was, when does a player stop being an upside stash and start becoming a roster clogger? It's a really good question because I don't know that there's a hard and fast true line. However, as a general rule of thumb, if I haven't seen, outside of maybe the tight end position, if I haven't seen any sort of sign of life in the first two seasons, I'm usually cutting them, trading them, whatever. I need to see some sort of production within their first two seasons. We see often where there's guys with crazy upside, but 10 catches for 115 yards isn't going to quite get it done. You're always hoping that somebody gets hurt or somebody, gets traded. After two seasons is kind of my rule. It's not hard and fast, but it's a general rule of thumb. There are exceptions. And like I said, tight end position is the one where I'll maybe wait till a third season. But really, after three seasons, it's almost impossible for anyone that hasn't been fantasy relevant yet to become fantasy relevant. Big Mike C's asked, hello, please rank these late round after draft running back rookie pickups. Abram Smith, Snoop Connor, Kyron Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, and Jerome Ford. All right, so for me, first one would probably be Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams has the best draft capital outside of Jerome Ford. I'm trying to remember where Jerome Ford got taken. It was close. Either way, he's got some of the best draft capital out of this group. Also a player I like the most on tape before all of this. And I think he fills a very specific role for Sean McVay. Great pass catcher, great at pass protection. He's prototypical third down back. I think he's the safest. I think he's the one that you're going to actually get some value for. Next one I would go with is probably Abram Smith, partly just because of what we've already heard. There's a role to be had there. We know Mark Ingram probably won't be there too much longer. He's an aging running back. So I think Abram Smith's an interesting one. Then I would probably go Jerome Ford. Right now, there's not a lot of room on the Browns, but if something does happen where Kareem Hunt gets traded or cut, or he just leaves at the end of the year, there is a role there to be filled, and Jerome Ford is a good pass catching back. He could be part of that equation. Next, I would probably go with Snoop Connor, just because the Jaguars, it's pretty wide open. That would leave Isaiah Pacheco last but not least, partly because I didn't really like his tape very much, running back out of Rutgers. I get that there is some opportunity there, but I still just don't see him getting past Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Ronald Jones. All right, next question here comes from Tetraform on Discord. He asks, what's your rookie draft strategy in terms of composition? Do you draft by need, best available, or long shots to put on the taxi? Thanks. Obviously, long shots would be towards the end of the draft, and I'm assuming that's what you meant. But I'm always going best available in any sort of draft, whether it's a startup draft or a rookie draft. I'm always going best available. It's because you can always make trades later for a position of need. So let's say this year's draft, I'm at 1-5, and the two running backs are off the board, Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall. Well, I could reach and take James Robinson or James Cook there, or I could take the best available receiver, which would probably be Kenyon Drake or Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson. Like, one of those guys is probably there. So I would rather take that player because even after the draft, let's say I like James Cook, okay, trade for that player for James Cook and a 2023 second. So that way you're still gaining value. Don't just settle and take the player that you need. Go ahead and take the player that has the best value, and then you can always make trades later for positions of need. All right, this one comes in from Killag. What's a fair return for Javonte Williams? Javonte Williams is a extremely talented back. I love Javonte Williams. If you've been part of the Nerd Herd for any length of time, you know that he was my RB1 in the class, even pre-draft when people were talking about Najee and Travis Etienne. I was talking about Javonte Williams. He's now considered a top 5 dynasty running back. Even with Melvin Gordon there, we know that it's going to mostly be him this year, but even if there is some sort of split, Melvin Gordon isn't the long-term solution there in Denver. So very talented player that I like a lot. The starting point for a conversation, and I'm not even saying I would accept this, but the starting point in a conversation for me at this point is 2 firsts. Now, depending on where those firsts are, I might be interested. If you're talking about 2 firsts that are within the top 6 of the 2023 class, I might be willing to accept that, knowing how good the running backs are in that class. But if they're later round firsts, I'm going to need some more on top of that. But I think the starting point to get a guy like Javonte Williams is probably 2 firsts. All right. Gaggy Football 6 asks, hey, man, hope all is well your way. Where would you rank Breece Hall in the 2023 class? Second question, where in the 22 class would you feel comfortable trading out for a random 23 first? So trading for a random 23 first, anything after the first 4 picks for me. I'm all in on taking either Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, Garrett Wilson, Drake London. If any of those 4 players are available, I'm taking them. After that, I'm comfortable trading. If you like Treylon or Jameson Williams and you're not comfortable doing that, that's fine. But at that point, I'm comfortable trading out for a 23 first. I think that class, especially if you're looking for running back, is going to be great. Now, when it comes to Breece Hall, the only guy I can say confidently that I would have over him at this point would be Bijan Robinson. I like Jamar Gibbs. I like Evans. I like a lot of these players, but I think he's the only one right now that I can say for sure that would be over him in next year's class. All right, before we get to the last question, I want to tell you guys really quick about our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is an incredible app. Go in there, use the promo code NERDS. You know what that does? That gets you an instant deposit match of 100% up to $100. So you put in $100, they'll give you 100. You say, what's that $100 for? It's the best legal betting app there is. It's the best. I'm telling you, there's already futures bets on there for different players for the 2022 NFL season. Guys like Javonte Williams and Patrick Mahomes. You can do over, under on yardage. It's great. You'll love it. And you can win up to 10 times your money. It's incredible. I love it. Go there, prizepicks.com, download the app. All right, last question. Benji26, what are you doing with 2023 first as a contender? I have 2 projected late first on a dynasty squad, and I'm torn whether I cash in on the hype or wait as the value and get the value of that class. If I'm a contender, as much as I love the 23 picks, if somebody is willing to pay at or above value for those picks right now, I'm willing to do that as a contender. Now, each roster is different. You have to look at your team. If you're already sporting 4 running backs and your RB4 is David Montgomery, well, you probably don't need to trade those picks for a running back, at least not right now. Wait until in season, then maybe make a move for a running back if there's injuries or something like that. But you have to know your team. But if there is a need on a true contending team, then I have no problem moving those 23 first to be able to fill that need. But once again, I'm not giving them away cheap just because I like the player. I want at or above value for that 23 class because the hype is that high.